This is Radio Taiwan International. Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Friday, May 30th. Reuters has reported that U.S. officials are warning opposition parties not to block increased arms sales to Taiwan. The U.S. has deployed advanced missiles in the Philippines in a joint military exercise. And Taiwan is optimistic on securing a U.S. trade agreement before the 90-day deadline. But first, today's top story. The United States plans to increase arms sales to Taiwan to a scale that exceeds that of President Donald Trump's first term in order to curb China's escalation of military pressure on Taiwan, according to a Reuters interview with two U.S. officials who spoke on condition of anonymity. The unnamed officials stated that the U.S. is pressuring Taiwan's opposition party not to oppose President Lai Ching-te and the DPP's plan to increase defense spending to 3% of GDP this year through a special defense budget. The acceleration of arms sales may ease concerns about Taiwan's commitment to Taiwan, though the move will also add new friction to the tensions between the United States and China. However, many Taiwanese worry that Trump may be less committed to Taiwan than past U.S. presidents. During his campaign, Trump advocated that Taiwan should pay protection fees and accused Taiwan of stealing U.S. semiconductor business, sparking concerns. The legislature, majority controlled by the KMT and TPP, passed budget cuts earlier this year that could hit defense spending. The official said the Trump administration is committed to enhancing tough deterrence for Taiwan and that they have sent a very strong message to the opposition. Quote, "Don't get in the way of this. This isn't a Taiwanese partisan question. This is a Taiwanese survival question," end quote. Regarding the possibility of increased arms sales, Presidential Office spokesperson Li Wen responded that Taiwan is committed to strengthening its military deterrence capabilities while continuing to deepen security cooperation with the United States. KMT and TPP representatives have also expressed their firm support for increasing the defense budget. Experts believe that the ongoing joint military exercises between the United States and the Philippines are aimed not only at countering China's expansion in the South China Sea, but also at enhancing deterrence against a potential Chinese invasion of Taiwan. On Monday, the two countries launched their annual Kamandang, or Cooperation of the Warriors of the Sea, exercise, which will run for 2 weeks until June 6th. This year's drills focus on maritime threats in the South China Sea and include the deployment of advanced weapon systems to the Philippines. Among the newly deployed systems is the U.S. Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, or Nemesis, a shore-based anti-ship missile platform. Institute for National Defense and Security Research Director Su Zuyun noted that Nemesis can effectively target enemy fleets with its 185-kilometer range, enough to cover the Basi Channel between northern Luzon and southern Taiwan. Paired with Taiwan's own missile systems, it forms a crossfire zone capable of restricting Chinese naval movement. Su also emphasized the Philippines' strategic position on the first island chain, serving as a key defense outpost against China's 2 oceans, 3 seas strategy, aimed at securing maritime routes in the Pacific, Indian Ocean, East China Sea, Taiwan Strait, and South China Sea. Su pointed out that China's coercive actions against the Philippines over the past 2 years have triggered a domestic shift. Anti-China sentiment has grown, and overall, the pro-U.S. stance still enjoys broad public support. Deputy Foreign Minister Chen Mingji emphasized that Taiwan aims to secure a more favorable tariff rate than other countries and expressed confidence that an agreement with the United States can be reached before the 90-day deadline. Following the Trump administration's decision to pause implementation of new tariff policies for 90 days, Washington has begun negotiations with multiple countries, including Taiwan. In an interview with Bloomberg TV on Thursday, Chen noted that the U.S. has raised concerns about non-tariff barriers, saying that Taiwan is reviewing these concerns and working toward a resolution that protects local industries and supports the country's broader economic transformation. Chen reiterated Taiwan's firm position on protecting farmers' rights and ensuring food safety, while also demonstrating a genuine commitment to market openness. On the energy front, he confirmed that Taiwan has been invited to the upcoming Sustainable Energy Conference in Alaska this June and will send a high-level delegation. The discussions will center on liquefied natural gas, or LNG, procurement and investment in related infrastructure, part of Taiwan's push to diversify its energy sources. Chen emphasized Taiwan's hope for preferential treatment, ideally securing a rate lower than the 10% imposed on others. He warned that steep tariffs could erode corporate profits, raise operational costs, and ultimately deter investment in the U.S., urging Washington to consider the broader economic implications of its trade policies. A federal judge extended a temporary restraining order blocking U.S. President Donald Trump's attempt to ban Harvard University from enrolling international students. The temporary restraining order was put in place Thursday local time at the same time many students celebrated graduation less than 10 kilometers away. Harvard has been a key target of the Trump administration's crackdown on elite American universities, according to AFP. Earlier this month, the administration threatened to freeze the university's funding on the grounds of left-wing bias and an insufficient response to anti-Semitism on campus. Then last Thursday, in a display of escalating relations, the Trump administration attempted to halt Harvard's ability to enroll foreign students, who make up around 27% of the student body, which was blocked by a temporary restraining order from a federal judge. U.S. District Judge Allison Burroughs extended the temporary restraining order put in place last week to provide protections to international students while the legality of the Trump administration's actions is decided in court. At a hearing in Boston, Harvard lawyer Ian Gershengorn said that even with the restraining order, students are deeply frightened, with some taking the initiative to transfer to alternative universities. Just before the hearing on Friday, the administration issued a formal notice to the court that they would no longer attempt to immediately revoke Harvard's ability to host international students, but instead grant them 30 days to submit evidence to challenge the cancellation orders. However, Judge Burroughs said the letter itself was not enough to instill confidence that the administration wouldn't try other methods against Harvard, which factored into her extending the previously issued restraining order indefinitely. She added that she would seek to clarify whether the administration's actions had thus far been motivated by retaliation. A Taiwanese man in his 30s was arrested in South Korea on Thursday for allegedly trespassing and taking photos in the National Intelligence Service building. The Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency stated that the man was detained after being reported for purportedly recording the interior of the building with his mobile phone near the main gate. According to South Korean media, the man claimed to be very interested in history and was only taking photos of the UNESCO World Heritage Site Haeon-ilyeong, which is near the National Intelligence Service building. The authorities are examining the man's mobile phone as part of the investigation. Recently, many cases of Chinese people in South Korea illegally taking photographs of sensitive facilities such as military bases have aroused concern. Earlier this month, 2 Taiwanese nationals were arrested for illegally entering the U.S. military's Osan Air Base to take photos and are currently still detained as the investigation continues. In response to a physician's claim that COVID-19 vaccinations are no longer necessary, Taiwan's CDC has warned that such statements could endanger public health. The agency also dismissed allegations of inflated data on severe cases and deaths, stating there is no possibility or reason for fabrication by medical institution or health authorities. Taiwanese media recently reported that Taiwan Counter-Contagious Disease Society President Dr. Renxian Wang said at a press conference that the current COVID-19 wave was artificially inflated and called vaccination an ineffective measure, stating, quote, "We've already had plenty of vaccines. Enough is enough," end quote. CDC spokesperson Luo Yijun responded on Friday that although COVID-19 has been downgraded to a Category 4 notifiable disease and only severe cases must now be reported, the CDC still supplies antiviral medications for doctors to prescribe. Luo called Wang's comment a dangerous suggestion that runs counter to expert advice and could mislead the public. The WHO has confirmed that the JN1 vaccine remains effective, and studies show that updated boosters reduce severe illness and death, especially among older adults. The CDC urges all individuals, especially those aged 65 and older, to get the latest JN1 vaccine before the current wave peaks, including a second dose if 6 months have passed. The new Taipei Metro Corporation announced on Thursday that protective stab-resistant tools will be available to enhance rider and operator safety. Among the tools introduced were anti-stab shield bags and gloves, which are to be installed on the cab and rear of the train for use by those aboard. In a press release, the new Taipei Metro Corporation acknowledged that several random stabbing attacks have taken place on Taiwan's public transportation in recent years. To bolster emergency response capabilities and existing safety measures, they've installed new protective tools and warning devices designed to be especially effective in the case of a knife attack. These measures were inspired by the practical actions of the West Japan Railway, where stab-resistant umbrellas were installed in trains. The bag is designed to look like a messenger bag with a built-in steel plate to help passengers wield it as a shield during an attack while ideally keeping their distance. In instances where maintaining distance isn't possible, gloves designed to protect against stabbings will also be installed, which can provide basic stopping capabilities if one cannot retreat. Both of these are to be installed in the front and back of trains for easy access. In addition, stab-resistant umbrellas similar to those used in Japan will be installed in stations. These are instead meant to be tools for station staff and can be used in the event of an attack as a means of intervention when a train pulls into a station to better ensure passenger safety during evacuation. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Michelle Chang. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.